You're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello and welcome to Walk the Talk. I am Shekhar Gupta and let me remind you of a remarkable coincidence. Walk the Talk started exactly 5 years ago to date. In fact, on this very interesting day, Good Friday morning, and the guest that day, the first episode of Walk the Talk was Mr. L.K.Advani, the then Deputy Prime Minister. Mr. Advani is back on Walk the Talk today as leader of the opposition.
Pleasure meeting you, Shekhar.
Basking in the glory of his autobiography. If one carries it through the day, maybe one will have a little bit of a crick in the neck. Such a long story to tell. But Mr. Advani, I remember a little conversation we had at that time. You underlined the fact that this was Good Friday, and you linked it to the day when Janata Party broke up, and you said this is the day of crucifixion.
That's right.
And 2 days later there will be a resurrection.
I have repeated this analogy many times. I started it when I visited Kerala for the first time after the formation of the BJP. And I could see that in the audience there were a large number of Christians who would understand it more precisely than the others. And so I pointed out that it was on Good Friday that the formal resolution throwing us out of the Janata Party was passed. And I regard that as an attempt to crucify us. That we are communal, and so long as we are in the Janata Party will not grow. And we accepted that crucifixion, and when 2 days later, on Easter Sunday, the BJP was formally launched, I said this is the day of the resurrection.
Right. So do we stretch the metaphor? Did you feel a little bit of the crucifixion happening to you after the Jinnah statement? First the electoral defeat, then the Jinnah statement, and now is this time for resurrection?
No, that is not in any way crucifixion. I'll certainly say that it caused me pain.
It was an inquisition, all right. If you really stretch it.
I would not put it that way. I did say that in my entire political life, there have been occasions like Hawala also.
Right.
But those were false accusations made against me by the then government.
Right.
Adversaries.
Right.
This caused me anguish because it was my own party and my own family, ideological family, which failed to understand what precisely I had said and why.
Will you now explain? I know this has come up many times, but we have time now for you to put this in perspective.
I would only say that when I went to Pakistan, all that I had in mind was to carry further the process started by Vajpayee ji when he was Prime Minister, that we are neighbors, why can't we have normal relations between us? But even at that time, he went to Lahore, met Nawaz Sharif, who was Prime Minister. It was a bus ride to Lahore and it became historic. But what happened was that about the same time, his general, without his knowledge, managed Kargil. And that naturally hurt Vajpayee ji badly. And as Nawaz Sharif later on told Vajpayee, he himself was taken aback. What's this? Why did it happen?
In fact, he said this in a Walk the Talk with me. He said, he put his hand on the heart and he said, I want to tell Mr. Vajpayee that I didn't betray him, I was betrayed.
Yes, I'm aware of it. And but this is also true that those days the Pakistan High Commissioner in Delhi had been meeting me quite often.
Mr. Riaz Khokar, who was otherwise known to be a difficult guy, a hawk.
I don't know, but he used to meet me.
Right.
And I asked him, what kind of a person is this general?
Right.
He said, I'm a foreign serviceman, I don't know. And then I discussed it with Vajpayee ji. I said, he is not a political person. He is an army man. Who knows? Who knows his response to a request and an invitation from you may be different from the normal leaders. I don't know. It was just a gamble. But this is also true that the decision was not taken either in the External Affairs Ministry or in the PMO. It was taken between two of us. And later on, perhaps the National Security Advisor at that time said in an interview that it was not a decision taken at the level of the government.
Right.
It was a decision taken by the two leaders.
Right. But and there also you were the prime mover.
I was.
You were the prime.
I was.
Do you have any regrets?
No, not at all.
Was it a mistake?
No, not at all.
Because
it was a mistake means the desire on my part that there should be normal relations is only underlined by the fact that I did it.
Right.
Because very many people say, you have always been against Pakistan, you have always been against the Muslims, you have always been this, you have always been that. I said, well, I cannot compromise with the nation's security, and so it was clear in my view that if there is to be an agreement in Agra, it can be only if General Musharraf denounces cross-border terrorism.